Hello and welcome back. In this studio setup, I will be using 3dsMax 2018 and Vr8 3.60. In preferences, make sure your monitor contrast is adjusted. If you open the gamma and LUT and enable it, you can adjust the colors of these two gray areas so that one blends into the other one, almost as they both look about the same. In most monitors, this is 2.2. Okay, next, follow these settings in the Setup tab. Select Vr8 Advanced and enable Global Illumination in the GI tab. Select your primary engine as Irradiance tab, and at the preset tabs, select the low. We can change that later for better renders in the end. Now, the reason for me to create a small room like this is because I think all these props that are in the studio, they get reflected into the model or the object you're shooting. So it'll be nice to add these things like the paper and some of the props. So let's start with a 25 by 25 feet area. It's actually best for Vr8 lights if you could use always an enclosed area, like a room with walls, so you don't have Vr8 trying to calculate the light going beyond, to the infinite or something like that. So in all my renders, I always try to enclose it in one area, and then I can add the lights. And even except for the exterior lighting, when you have sunlight, for example. So here I'm just using, I'm setting up this small room with a few props, like the table. I will be using the paper, small piece of paper on the table, a large one for the backdrop. And I will also draw a few simple props like the light umbrellas and so forth. Now we can add a camera. Vr8 3.6 still uses the standard physical camera from 3dsMax. Place it in the room and adjust its height to maybe 4 feet, 5 feet, and just aim at the table, like so. Now you can change your view here to the camera view. I'm going to remove this light, ignore this. And we're going to start up with a new light, Vr8 plane type. Make a 2 by 2 feet in size of this light and place it just above on top of the small table you made. In edit mode, type 2 in the multiplier value, or any value you want to try with. You follow these basic parameters for your camera now. I will not go into high detail, we just go into the basic 35mm camera. You can change that later. Like if you change the width of the millimeters, that will change the camera to another one. Use the 1/100th of a second on the duration of the shutter. Make the exposure gain manual and type 100. Leave the daylight color, and we will leave that for now. Check the render setup again one more time. Render to see what we have so far. Now, the umbrellas you see in the studios are called softboxes, and they are designed in a way so that they give you the most light in one direction only, so the back is dark. So in V-Ray we will use a map called V-Ray Softbox under Maps here. You place one in your material editor, and as you can see, it has a few parameters like the base color here, all the color. You can turn this on, that's the hotspot, and we will make some adjustments. But first, we'll select this light here, and right here where it says no map, we're going to apply the texture to this map as an instance. So any changes you make to the softbox map, it's going to happen to the light. Alright, so we can try to see what the difference is. Here's the previous one, and I'm going to render a new one showing the effect of the softbox. You can see here very faintly the ring or the circle showing on the softbox. You can't see that very well because it's white in color. So to make it more realistic or more visible in the fading of this softbox at the edges, we're going to change the color. So first let me open this preview window. It just shows a little bit, you know, in a larger and a higher quality, the preview. If you change the color, make it a little darker, like maybe warm and dark, because this light bulb could have a little bit of warmth in it. So you can begin to see the edges here. And if you make further adjustments in the in this area in the fading options, then you can make your softbox look just the way you want it. You know, how big is your spot, and how dark is the outside, and what color, etc. So now if I redo this, you can see the overall photograph has that warm color now, and you can see it better. Let me add a teapot to shoot a test under this light. Remember, this is just one light I have here. You can make copies of the light or make new lights to complete your studio. So let me add just some texture and color to the pot. This is ceramic, and we'll render it. So that's the effect of one of them only. You can see the softness of the softbox. So now there are many ways to adjust the brightness of the render. You can change the value of this multiplier here, or you can also change the multiplier on the softbox itself. And what I usually prefer to do is to work with the camera. Once my lights are set okay, then I can change the aperture in the camera. So here I have added 2 more lights. So this is the result of 3 lights in the studio. The studio has all the other gadgets like these umbrellas, you know, and things that will be reflected actually in the props if they are very reflective. The umbrellas move with the lights. I just put it together. So here's an example of using those 3 lights. Now, to control these objects, you can use a couple of ways to do this. First, you can do the open your Scene Explorer, and on the Layer Explorer, you can see that you can hide or show some of these props. You can also select from here, and you can organize it so that if you quickly don't need them in front of you, you can just hide them from here. You can also make the lights themselves invisible, and but I rather use the lights with the props because I think, like I said, that helps with the things that are in the reflections. So one way to change the paper color very easily is that you place a bitmap of a color chart in your materials. You can download something like this from the internet. This is called seamless photographic paper, and if you search it, you'll find some of these things on the web. So if you find something that has a good resolution, then you can place a copy of this to your materials like this. And so when you want to change the color of this paper, for example, the blue, the moment you're changing color here, just use the dropper and pick a color from your chart. You know, once you do this, you can prepare your scene, and then you'll see the results immediately. Once you have your studio like this, you can of course merge 3D models into it, and then compose it to render it. Another thing you can do is you can make more than one camera, and you can leave it in there with all the settings. One of them could be with depth of field, another one could be for close-up shots, and so you will be able to just select the camera that you want to shoot with. Now, every time you make you import models, some of the models you import may not be suited for a quick shot, so you'll have to make some adjustments. In this case, I imported a black furniture on top of the blue paper, and of course the easiest thing is just to change the color of the paper first, and then adjust your lights and your camera, just like you would in a studio. And in the case of the lights, it's best to use the Vr8 Light Lister under your Tools tab. And here you can turn them on, you can turn them off, you can select them, and you can make changes to the values of the multipliers all at once without having to open the editing mode in each of the lights. So in this case, I'm going to change the light for both and give it more bright light, and here it is. So I hope the little studio will save you some time in the future, and you'll be able to practice your photography a little nicer. Thanks for watching, and see you soon.